Hi there, welcome to Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Aries energy. And we're going to shuffle out the cards to get the story. And then we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives, because people are at different emotional maturity levels in their Aries energy. We all tap into Aries energy. This might be a story of something going on in Aries energy, so it could more affect people who are an Aries sun, moon, or rising sign, but in turn it affects all of us because we all tap into Aries. And so Aries energy is fire sign energy. Aries energy is also about the self. But high vibe Aries is about the Emperor and having learned all these lessons in the four suits of the deck: the heart, the mind, the 3D world, and the creative passion nature. And in high vibe Aries is about being inspired within yourself to keep growing and healing and maturing yourself, to learn that all four aspects of yourself are equally important. But Aries is also represented by the Fool card, that we have to go on these journeys in life to learn these lessons, and then we have the free will to choose, do we want to kind of grow to our full potential and value all four elements of ourself? We don't have to if we don't want to, and we could say, no, that part's not that important. And some people can do that with love or connecting in with their emotions. We're emotionally complex human beings, and some people are like, that's too damn confusing. I don't even want to connect in with them that much. I'll kind of like use them more superficially. Some people might think it's not worth really investing in their own unique talent, skills, and interests. We've all been given things that are kind of more aligned with things that we could invest in and grow and mature, that would provide stability and security for us. But other people could think, no, I don't have to do that. I maybe have other things going on and circumstances in my life where I don't have to do that. But then, they don't know what that means to really maybe be more passionate about something and feel proud of yourself for putting in work and effort into kind of something you grow and mature, right? So let's go see what's going on in Aries energy. We start out with the Three of Swords, and the reason that came out is because of the Five of Cups. Well, let's just go look at the cards. And we have the Chariot, and the reason that came out is because of the Five of Pentacles. 2 fives. So the fives can kind of be these difficult times in our life where we're trying to, am I going to keep moving forward with what I've been moving forward, or how I've been living my life? Do I think this is just and fair? Is this aligned with my truth? Is it more that it looks just and fair and looks victorious and successful is what the Chariot can be? Or is it aligned with my truth and in my Taurus Five of Pentacles philosophy of life? Is it a balance between my heart and my mind, my emotional nature, my worldly nature? Have I learned to maintain balance within myself, that the things I'm investing my time, energy, and effort into are also, a mix of these things of the world that I want? Like human beings, we want stability and security, and we'd like to be in more just, fair, balanced relationships. Is it love? The Chariot is Cancer energy. Am I in jobs, friendships, and relationships with people that I love? Do they love me? Is it balanced? Or, and we can go through those periods of time where maybe in the Five of Cups we could feel like it seems just and fair and victorious and successful, but do I feel like I'm being more emotionally manipulated by my more worldly, egoic nature, of wanting to look victorious and successful? In my more shadowy Taurus nature, it's more about these things of the world. Do I feel other people are in relationship with me more because of those things? Is it balanced or is it not? And, it's kind of like, are people willing to see the truth of what is more just, fair, balanced, aligned with their truth, and see what isn't? Shadowy energy can be where we want to keep staying in denial of the truth. Like, nope, this seems just and fair. Nope, it might not be what I love. Other people might not love me. It might seem more logical and practical, but it looks victorious and successful, so I'm going to keep doing it. And we all have to make those decisions, and we can all sometimes be in job, friendships, or relationships, or the Three of Swords can be that we kind of have this heart-mind conflict about if we think it's just and fair. And we might keep moving forward with something, kind of still putting in maybe work and effort to try to move it forward in a more emotionally balanced way, because we'd all like the things that we've invested in to work out the way we wanted them to work out. And so some people could still be at a stage where they're still trying to figure that out with some people in their life. With other people in their life, they could have seen the truth and they could have moved on from those people because they realized their viewpoint in life was different. What they think is just and fair is different. The Five of Cups is Scorpio. Some people don't want to really do more deep, meaningful relationships. They'd kind of rather be in relationships for how it benefits them, but don't really want to maybe connect in with their emotions that much. And then you could feel like it is more living more from the mind than the heart. It is more kind of superficial and shallow. And that's not your truth. So some people have already moved on from some of those type of people in their life. But we can have more people in our life that we kind of need to, once we can free ourselves from some job, friendships, or relationships where it's like, no, this isn't my truth. No, I'm ready to move forward a little differently. The Chariot can be about moving forward. The Five of Pentacles can be about moving forward. That there could have been a way of living life and viewing life at one point in time, but we kind of go through that phase and then we're kind of ready to move forward to the next phase of life. And so the Five of Pentacles can be detaching from an old way of living life and viewing life. And as we do that, there might be certain habits, certain vices, certain ways of viewing ourselves, viewing the world around us, what we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into, with other people in our life, where they're at. And with some of the people, we might realize, I kind of need to distance myself from those people because that could have been my truth at one time. At every different stage of our life, we lived life a certain way, we viewed life a certain way. But over time, maybe the Five of Cups can be that we haven't even learned to love ourselves. And hopefully as we go through life, we kind of learn to love ourselves and invest in ourselves. And that could get us out of more codependent energy where we could be in relationships with people who are more, we both could have been more codependent. And then it's like, I don't want to be in more codependent relationships. I want to learn to love myself. At every stage of life, hopefully we become more independent of our more immature nature. And, sometimes we're ready to move forward and other people aren't. Sometimes we've been the one who stayed here and other people move forward because we weren't ready to move forward. We all kind of move forward at different times. As long as we're not ready to move forward, we'll keep repeating a certain pattern. And we could be getting friendships and relationships. We're at kind of a certain stage of life. We're kind of in that pattern of learning lessons just like they are. And then sometimes we're ready to move forward a little differently. Some people move forward with us, some people don't. So, but everybody could want to move forward in something. Some people, it is more driven and motivated to look like they've moved forward. Like, something maybe didn't work out. Someone else moved forward. So now they want to get in another relationship just to look like they've moved forward. But, is that the only reason why they're in it? Or is it because of truth and love? People can get in relationships and friendships for different reasons. Let's go see what's coming up next. We have the Strength card, the Hierophant, the Four of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune, the Justice card, and the Six of Swords. And the reason that came out is because of the Emperor. So, the people who've learned some lessons in life, that I definitely learned some things that weren't aligned with my truth. I could have been in relationships with people whose truth was that they like to live more from their mind than their heart, because these two cards are like the overarching reason for the reading. And this is Gemini and the Knight of Pentacles, which is Virgo. Gemini talks about our dualistic nature, and the Knight of Pentacles kind of talks about what our truth is. And in our Gemini nature, of our dualistic nature, are we more about ourselves, more about the world, more about indulging things in the world, more about being in a relationship for being in a relationship, or are we more motivated and inspired by truth and love? And part of that is continuing to shed layers of our more immature egoic nature to kind of keep growing and maturing ourselves. And some people saw the truth of some things that weren't aligned with their truth. We've all done some things. The Three of Swords can be being heartbroken. We've all been in relationships and situations that didn't work out the way we wanted. Well, the high vibe people know that the answer is love. So and in high vibe, the Knight of Pentacles in Virgo, in high vibe, the Pentacles are about truth and love. And so the high vibe people knew, I can be heartbroken, and I can keep being sad, and I can keep moving forward, feeling left out in the cold, that some of the people in my life who I wish would work together with me in a more just and fair and loving way would, but they didn't. Well, I don't want to keep staying heartbroken and sad and left out in the cold. So I decide in my free will to invest in myself and to see the truth, accept the truth, get out of my ego about it. You know, we're not all on the same page at the same time. We can have different ideas of what we think is just and fair. We can have different ideas of what we view as victorious and successful. We can have different ideas of what we want to invest our time and energy and effort into and what we love. And that I'm going to decide to love myself, to get balance within myself is what the Chariot can talk about. And in high vibe, the Three of Swords of Libra, I'm going to get balance between my heart and my mind about these situations in my life. And if I haven't learned to love myself and kind of have a lack mentality, is what the Five of Pentacles talks about, I'm going to give myself what I wish others would give me, because in our more codependent energy, we can always look outside of ourselves for people to love us and validate our worth and value. And that's high vibe Virgo. I need to learn to validate my worth and value. And that's like being like a good Cancer is about love. And the Emperor, I need to learn to love myself and play that role within myself, so I quit being more codependent on things outside of me to validate my worth and value, and for me to invest in myself and love myself and just kind of appreciate my own unique talent, skills, and interests and what I bring to the table. Maybe see the truth of where I might need to heal and grow and mature myself. The only person, the fives talk about change, the only person I can change is me. If I was in relationships with people who I did think were more just or unfair or stubborn or superficial or shallow or bossy or controlling or more about ego and image or other things, accept the truth of it. Also accept the truth where some people, we could have had loving and encouraging people in our life, but because we hadn't learned to love ourselves and kind of didn't believe in ourselves, we could have repeated some old patterns and some other people moved on, and now we can repeat a pattern until we're ready to decide. In the Strength card, which is Leo energy and represented by the Sun, I am going to give myself the things I wish other people would have given me. And then, what is that? The Hierophant? The Hierophant, like the Five of Pentacles, is Taurus energy. Am I who I say I am? Do I try to present myself as a more just and fair, motivated and inspired by love person? But am I really kind of looking for someone to love me in a way and invest in me? And so then it's really more about me. I need to if that's who I want to present myself as being and believe myself to be, then that's who I need to be. I need high vibe Taurus is I need to really walk the talk. And then it can't be more about me. And I need to see the truth of where I might need to heal and grow and mature myself. Virgo's about learning these lessons, seeing the truth of maybe some things that we kind of kept hidden beneath the surface. This can be action that we're kind of taking in the world, and then these underlying cards can be why we take that action. You know, have I gotten in friendships and relationships more because I was sad, had to learn to love myself, and I was looking for someone to love me? I think we've all kind of been there, you know? Learning to love yourself, that can take decades, you know? Getting out of more codependent energy can take decades, but eventually we kind of go on this journey. And when we're kind of looking for other people to validate our worth and value, we'll probably have a lot of people in the world who don't. And then it gets us in our ego. That's Leo energy. And it's like, well, why don't they view me a certain way? Why don't they value me? Why don't they, you know, until we learn to kind of value ourselves, it's kind of maybe going to be mirrored back to us. If I'm not being more authentic, that's like high vibe Leo and high vibe Hierophant. If I'm not really who I present myself as authentically, then it can be like I'm trying to present myself a certain way in the world, but I'm operating more from my ego. You know, and I'm presenting myself a certain way to try to get people to view me a certain way so people will be in friendship and relationship with me. And you can get people to be in friendship and relationship with you, but if we don't deal with these underlying issues that have manipulated us at different times throughout our life, those things kind of keep us operating from our ego. And we're making decisions in our life more out of these other reasons or want for friendship and relationship because we're more codependent on it, right? So some people have done that enough that they kind of were enlightened to the truth. If I want to be a more just, fair, balanced, authentic, loving relationships, I need to align with that within myself. So, in my free will, I need to choose to start investing in working through my past pain and heartbreak, working through my lack mentality, offering truth and love to myself, to see where I need to heal and grow and mature myself, accept the truth of different people in my life, the people who were more just, fair, and loving. Those people made that free will choice to be those type of people. The people who didn't made the free will choice not to be that kind of person. I can only take responsibility for my actions and how I contributed to those things, but I'm not going to stay in my ego and feel less than if I did deal with people who were more superficial and shallow, were more bossy and controlling, were more manipulative, were more people who like to mentally screw with people. You know, it's like, I'm going to let them take responsibility for their own way of being, and I'm going to see the truth of it. I don't think that was just and fair. I don't think you work together with people cooperatively. I think you're kind of bossy. I think you're controlling. I think you're defensive to love. I think you're more about you. I think, you know, just deal with the truth of all of it so you can let it go. And that's kind of when you're set free you've been illuminated to the truth. The truth sets you free. Okay, I accepted the truth. I see, looking back at my life, where I needed to heal and grow and mature myself. I see where other people did too. Okay? I've come in contact with all these different people, got more clear about what my truth is, my truth isn't. Now I'm going to take action in my truth. And from the Five of Pentacles down to the Four of Pentacles, like, I'm not going to invest in that anymore. If there were certain ways of living my life, certain emotions and thoughts and feelings, or way of viewing myself, ways of viewing others, I'm not going to keep investing in that. That's not aligned with my truth. It doesn't move my life forward in the way I want to move my life forward. So I see what I need to quit investing time, energy, and effort into, And then that could include some people that were in your life, because if they're still living their life like that, they want you to live your life like that. And it's like, that's not my truth anymore. So in the wheel, what is that? Is that the Wheel of Fortune? Yep. The Wheel of Fortune talks about that you're more willing to go with the flow. And when you are willing to deal with the truth, when you are willing to kind of stand up for yourself and love and believe in yourself, get more balance within yourself, quit repeating old patterns, that's when the Wheel of Fortune does move in your favor. Because now you're kind of in the flow of the universe of being willing to deal with the truth, heal and grow and mature yourself, love yourself, get balance within yourself, work through your fears, your insecurities. In the Justice card, to get the justice you deserve. And part of it could be detaching from aligning with your just more worldly view of life. Isn't the most important thing, it isn't love. No, it's to have status or image or be more about myself or look victorious and successful in the world. It's like, what about love? You know, and some people could have been like, no, that's not important. In a typical Five of Cups card, someone is looking at the past and the Three of Cups that are spilt over, when the Two of Cups is there for them to move forward in an energy of love. But again, we have free will to invest in love or to live more from our mind than our heart, be more about ourselves, more about the world, or things we indulge in, or being more codependent. And some people saw the truth that this isn't really aligned with my truth. And we all can go through those phases because we've all got to learn these lessons in life. It's just if you're kind of feeling like it's not very emotionally fulfilling, it could have all these things of the world that you could think that it looks just and fair. It looks victorious and successful. It looks loving. Do you love that job? Do you love those people? Do you enjoy doing those things? Do those people, are they loving and encouraging and treat you in a just and fair way? Or are they other people who just want to have you keep working there, be in a friendship and relationship with them, more for the status and the ego and image? You know, if that's what someone wants to manifest, they have the free will to do that. That would be in their Gemini nature of self, being more motivated and inspired to be in relationships and live your life more for these reasons of the world. And some people decided, I'm more inspired by truth and love. You know, it has to be more balanced than that. I want these things of the world just like everyone else, but I also am inspired to keep growing and healing and maturing myself and shed old layers of myself and kind of grow to my full potential and not keep repeating old patterns and not be more manipulated by the world or my immature nature or my egoic nature or my materialistic nature, whatever, you know? I want to be more balanced. The Justice card, like the Three of Swords, is Libra. But the Justice card here would be more like a more mature. You know, this is like the Justice card is, and the Emperor and the Hierophant. And over here we have the Hermit. Those are like major arcana cards, more aligned with the divine, you know, that there's more to this world than just these things of the world to make your life about. And but when we're younger, you know, in Aries fire sign energy, which is about the self, there's a lot of things in the world that we want to go indulge in and that we are sure will make us happy. And we maybe don't listen to our intuition, you know, could go through stages of being really more about our, you know, we got these lessons to learn. So we go on that journey, and hopefully eventually some people, you know, get out of being so consumed with themselves and these things of the world that they're more hopeful, believing nature with the Page of Pentacles over here, which can be about being a student of life. That life is about learning these lessons. And the Hermit in Virgo energy, like the Knight of Pentacles, is about learning these lessons seeing how these things that are kind of hidden in the dark within us, our own fears, our own insecurities, our own more immature, prideful, lazy, codependent, whatever nature, and other people that are kind of in shadowy energy, and the world at large, how it can try to manipulate us and to see the truth of what's hidden in the dark, like there's more going on and more at play in the world, within us, within others, these kind of motivations that people have, that we need to kind of see the truth of what kind of drives and motivates us, and also get to know people to figure out what more drives and motivates them, if we want to be not in more mismatched relationships, but in relationships with people who are more on the same page as us, and at different stages of our life. We can get in different friendships and relationships. Some of people keep moving forward with us, some people don't. We're going through these different stages. We get in relationships with other people that are kind of on the same page as us at different times, but it doesn't mean that all those people are going to keep moving forward with us all the time, because again, we're kind of willing to deal with the truth and kind of grow up and mature ourselves and temper layers of our more worldly egoic nature at different times, to let them go. And, some people, when you're ready to move forward in different ways, some people are like, no way, man, I want to stay right here. And other people are like, yeah, and they move forward with you. And then they're like, no way, man, I want to stay here. And so it's kind of letting everybody live their life the way they want, just like, you know, you didn't want people trying to force you to look at life differently, maybe, and grow up and mature yourself. It's a natural process, kind of. We can offer other people love and encouragement, but we have to accept that people are where they're at, just like people had to accept we were at where we were at different stages in our life, right? So, but we do kind of see in high vibe, you really do see the truth. You're right. Was that just and fair for me to probably live my life at that stage of life at one time? Yeah, that's where I was at. That's not how I view life anymore. I would be like appalled with myself if I kind of acted in certain ways or behaved in certain ways. You know, I have kind of grown up and matured myself, and that's not my truth anymore. I have detached. Now, the reason I bring that up is because shadowy people, in kind of more from their ego nature, can be people who see other people doing things like, oh, they kind of quit doing this, and oh, nobody wants to do that anymore, and oh, people kind of frown on that now, or, not conforming to the world, but they can see that they're kind of, other people are kind of tempering themselves, kind of growing up and maturing themselves. And some shadowy people think, oh, we're all kind of acting different now. And so then they kind of create the illusion that, oh yeah, no, I don't do that anymore. Oh yeah, no, no, put that behind me. But they really didn't. They really didn't see the truth of why they should quit some of those ways of being or behaving or viewing life or treating other people or being more about themselves, or they didn't work through some of their past pain and heartbreak, or maybe some of their lack mentality, or being more about themselves, or living more from their mind and their heart, being maybe more, still more about themselves and thinking it should be more their way or the highway. Other people did, it's like when we're very young, maybe like 3 to 5 years old, we kind of think the whole world was created to revolve around us. Some people got out of that. Some people never got out of that. And they still think that the world should just revolve around them. Anyway, some people really did learn these lessons, and they did kind of close out an old way of viewing life or living life and habits and patterns and things. And they've gotten more balanced within themselves. And then we have the Six of Swords, which is Aquarius energy, which has to do with our dreams and how we look at life. The Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords. Here we have the Three of Swords. So in here is like the Two of Swords, which we can always see things that, we could still be in two minds about some things, and that's what some people still are. They could see that they maybe shouldn't repeat certain patterns, but they have an idea. Shadowy energy is shadowy Leo egoic nature within all of us. I have an idea. I'm just going to act like this, create this illusion to make it look like I look at life from a higher perspective, that I've changed. But some of those people haven't. Other people really work through kind of their dualistic nature that, again, I have free will to invest in being more about me and the world, or kind of grow up and mature myself, kind of detach from my more egoic, stubborn, more prideful nature, is what some of these cards here can talk about, and realize that it's not just all about me. It's supposed to be about working together with other people, maybe to bring a common dream into reality. And everybody has to be willing to shed their more egoic, immature, being more about themselves nature, to maintain more balance within themselves, work through these issues, to work together with other people in a more just and fair and balanced way, if you want to bring a dream into reality. And see the truth that if we're in like a Five of Swords energy, which is still kind of this conflicted energy of maybe going back and forth, in the Two of Swords, like, well, no, I still really think it should be more my way, or I think I should still be able to act this way, or I think I should be able to treat people this way, or, we have to take responsibility in ourself to maintain balance between our being more about ourselves and working together with people. And then if we are going to work together with other people, if it's romantic, it should be from love. It shouldn't be, oh, because I'm sad, oh, because I feel left out in the cold, oh, I'm in my ego. We all could have done that before, but hopefully, as we all get older, hopefully we choose not to get in relationships with people for those reasons, because we're kind of not being authentic, right? It can be being in a relationship more for our own reasons, and shadowy Five of Swords can kind of be being more about yourself and kind of wanting to win at all costs. And, so hopefully, if we wouldn't appreciate other people being in a relationship with us for those reasons, hopefully we wouldn't get into relationships with other people for those reasons. It's one thing to be friends with people and be loving and encouraging and supportive to each other, but I maybe shouldn't get in a more involved relationship with someone just because I'm sad, or just because I feel out in the cold, or just fire sign energy that I want to have sex, unless I'm being truthful and upfront, maybe with the people I'm in a relationship with. But, if I want to be in more just and fair, balanced relationships that I kind of envision for myself, that my idea of the dream life, then I need to be someone who, in high vibe, kind of your, high vibe Leos, be authentic, tell the truth, not trying to hide the truth, not trying to manipulate or control someone, and not looking for someone else. Again, we can want to be in friendship and relationship with other people, maybe to help us move through and past something, to feel more balanced within ourselves. Well, it doesn't mean we should get in a more involved, like, romantic relationship with those people. We can be in friendships and relationships with friends and family that can provide that to us, and then, help us feel more balanced and stable within ourselves, help us move through a difficult time, help us have more in high vibe Aquarius, hope and faith and belief in ourselves. And then when we kind of get there, that might be then when some people are ready to move forward and have a new beginning. And then they're taking, the Hermit can talk about, like Virgo, taking these lessons that we've learned from these past life experiences with us. Okay, well, I know if I do this and this and this, kind of indulge poor behavior in myself, I'm probably going to get in relationships with other people who are happy that I'm indulging poor behavior in myself. So if I don't want that, then I need to be a good leader in my own life. And I need to not take action more out of ego, but walk my talk, maintain balance within myself, keep looking at life from a higher perspective, keep things in perspective. Listen, high vibe energy is kind of balance, is I have my more worldly nature, but I also have my more creative, inspired nature. And part of that, I think is listening to our intuition to help guide us. Synchronicities in life is kind of like, God or we live in a world of duality. Shadowy energy, which we could refer to as the devil, tries to stop us from, it's like those two energies are battling with each other, and we're just part of the game of life. But, the devil or whatever, shadowy energy, kind of represents our more worldly, egoic nature. No, make it more about you. No, you don't have to do love. You don't have to temper your ego. Don't listen to high vibe energy represented by God at the big picture. Doesn't matter if you're religious or not. It's just a way to understand this world of duality that we live in. We have the free will, unlike animals that just kind of by impulse and whatever do what they do. We have free will. We can choose to align with more high vibrational energy. We can choose to heal and grow and mature ourselves, work through our past pain and conflict, grow up and mature ourselves, temper our more immature egoic nature. But our shadow nature does not want us to do that. And shadowy people in our life don't want us to do that. Because then we won't be in friendship and relationship with them. And we won't be living our life the way they live their life. And they could be bothered if we free ourselves from things that manipulate them, that used to manipulate us, and go, believe in ourselves and believe in our dreams, to keep investing in our truth and not compromise our truth or give up our truth or give up our dreams to make our life being just more, this looks good. I look like a boss in the world. Look, I have a job. I have a friendship. I have a relationship. I look like I have justice in the world. I look like a shining star. What about, are you living your truth? Is it from love? Or again, are you in a job that you love? Are you in friendships and relationships with people you love? Are they indulging you? Are you indulging them to have these things of the world? Is the most important thing that you have a certain status or image in the world, or people view you a certain way, or it be more about you? Well, the people who are like that are probably going to keep living their life like that. Because that is the most important thing. It either has to be about them, or it's all about looking like they have justice in the world. Look how victorious and successful their life is. But it could all be where people are living more from their mind than their heart and hiding the truth. Not really living their truth from love. Like they gave up their truth somewhere along the way. They gave up believing in themselves. They settled for the illusion. And some people got in those situations like, we all think, oh, and if I have this and if I have that, and, hopefully there's some love there, and there could have been, and there could be attraction there, but are we in friendships and relationships with people who keep encouraging us to love and believe in ourselves? To keep working through our fears and our insecurities, to keep shedding old layers of ourselves. Let's all keep facing our fears, and let's keep, who knows what's in store for us. If we keep willing to work through things that manipulate us. And again, we can offer truth and love to people in our life for them to come with us. But, if we kind of go through a phase of life where it's like, this is good, just like this was good, and that was good, and this was good, and there was good things about it. The nines can talk about that again, we can be completing a cycle. And again, unlike, sometimes I equate it to apple trees, but we go through these stages where we go through one stage, we do a growth stage there, then we kind of move forward a little differently, just like we went from 15 to 18 to 21 to 25. We're meant to keep doing that throughout our life, if you just want to keep growing to your full potential in a way. Keep looking and seeing what kind of manipulates you, overcome your fears, your insecurities, your lack mentality, letting other people or the world more manipulate you, and try to be a loving and encouraging person to other people. But when your intuition kind of tells you you've kind of learned everything you needed to learn here, it's time to move to the next phase of life and face your fears about kind of stepping out of your comfort zone, because otherwise it becomes like dead and stagnant. And then you are hiding your truth because you have fear of becoming independent of an old phase of life, and may be fearful that some of the people in your life, they're happy still living their life at that phase of life, and that they won't want to move with you in that way. And they want to keep repeating this pattern. But if you keep repeating a pattern over and over, eventually you're kind of up in your head about it. And you could know that more of the reason you stay is your fear of leaving. And then that can kind of wear on your self-esteem, that you know that you're more manipulated by your fear and your ego about stepping out of your comfort zone. And I think high vibe energy wants us to keep, so again, equating it to like an animal or more like an apple tree. We have free will. We were given the gift of kind of that inner knowing that it's time to move forward. Like a tree, apple tree will grow, and I don't know if they just do a year or if they do a couple years at the same kind of stage of just kind of growing and maturing themselves at that stage. And then an apple tree doesn't have any choice in the matter. It's like, oh shit, we're growing. And, it starts to grow and branch out and starts to grow more fruit, becomes more abundant. And it didn't have a choice in the matter. But we as human beings can stunt our own growth because we could be fearful, like, well, what if that doesn't work out the way I want? Well, there are no guarantees, but if we know that where we've been and the way we've been living our life kind of now has us up in our head because it kind of seems stagnant, again, we can be up in our head about it because, again, we can like that job, we can like that friendship, we can like those relationships, but there's like something within us calling us to move forward. It's that kind of hidden force of our intuition telling us you're at the end of a cycle. It's time to see what are the good building blocks and ways of being and thinking and behaviors and attitudes and people and hobbies or whatever to take with you, and what are maybe the things that you shouldn't take with you, because those things aren't conducive to you going on this new journey. And with this being the Ace of Pentacles, previously, and we all go through this, that in our earthly worldly nature is what the Ace of Pentacles can represent. In our Capricorn, in our Taurus, in our Virgo nature, we're pretty caught up in the world. There's a lot of things that we want to manifest, and we could manifest those things. But, we did have a dream of it being more than just about those things of the world. That seed was planted within us. We have the knowledge of the tree of good and evil planted within us, but we can keep watering and doing these. There might be a time in our life to do that, to work on more of our stability and our security and stuff. But what about that other aspect of ourself that wants to give birth to more about love and more about compassion and more about maybe philosophy and looking at life from a higher perspective and working through some of these issues, And other people eventually kind of get motivated in their Aries nature within themselves, in their fire sign energy, to be less about themselves and these things of the world. And in their earth sign energy of their Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, I'm more inspired to kind of look at life differently than I did before. I was caught up more in the world, but now I'm kind of more inspired to be less about the world. There's so much more to know about, or so many other things to invest in that are maybe just about understanding yourself and the world and the bigger picture of it. And then when you're kind of could be curious about that, other people could be like, what? What the hell are you talking about? And they're like, no. It's just everybody's different. So that's fine. Maybe one day they will, maybe one day they won't. But if your truth is, that you are not wanting to make your life in all three of your earth sign energies still more about the ego, the image, the status, the money, again, we could have those things. We can still put work and effort into having stability, security, friendships, and relationships. But I'm more kind of curious within myself to just not let those things consume me maybe as much as they did. And that's when other people cannot like that, because you do kind of want to go on a new adventure. You maybe do look at life differently. You might look at life from a higher perspective, and some other people don't, and they don't think there is any other perspective. It's about the world. It's about these things. That's what we should make our life about. That's why we should get in the relationship, stay in the relationship. It's kind of the way I equate high vibe Aquarius, is that, you believe there's a higher truth and justice to aspire to. And then that's funny with the Knight of Pentacles has a star, because Aquarius is represented by the star, and then in this deck, the Ace of Pentacles has the star. I think there's more to life than just making our life just about these things, don't you? And the other people are like, what? And again, sometimes people can try to present themselves like they believe in a higher truth or justice, but it might be more for, again, to get people to get in relationship with them and to present themselves that way, but they really don't. You know, I don't think there is any higher truth or justice. It's about the world. The world tells us, and we're the top dog, and they could believe that there is no higher powers at play. But I think myself, I believe there are higher powers at play, and pride comes before the fall. And the people who think they're so smart and they're the boss and that they can control and manipulate everything, and I guess be able to make things work the way they want them to work. It's like, well, those could be people who end up being quite controlling, maybe in a relationship, and because they don't adhere to a higher truth or power. If they think something's just and fair, it's just and fair. I don't care if you're sad. If I think this is the way we should do things, I don't care if you feel left out in the cold. This works for me. And, it's just more about themselves. So, some people have done this work within themselves. They are moving forward. They have kind of seen who and what and ways of living life they don't want to invest in anymore. And from the 6 to the 9 is taking back the 3 of Swords. That if there was people in our life that we wish had been more just or fair or worked together with us more cooperatively in love, and we kind of see the truth that that's not their truth, and that's not how they want to work together with people, I'm not going to keep staying heartbroken about it. They have their truth, I have my truth. They can go do that, they just have to go do it with someone else. I've seen the truth. I'm going to take action on my truth. I am going to face my fears, even though I could be up in my head about it. But, and then both the Ace of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles can mean becoming independent of a foundation. And here we have the Four of Pentacles. So in between here, people could have been doing the Six of Pentacles with people. The 4 plus the 6 gets us to the 10. After the 10 is the 1, because there's a maximum of 10 in every suit. You try to work together with people. You try to do equal give and take with people. You try to move things forward to bring this dream into reality. But you can't do it on your own. If you're going to work with other people, those other people kind of have to be motivated by that same truth and that same dream. And you kind of saw the truth of who is more willing to move forward with you in that way and who isn't. And so you kind of quit exchanging resources with the people who have already shown you that's not their truth, to keep investing in the people who are kind of motivated and inspired by that same truth, and to go out in the world to meet other people who are more motivated and inspired by that truth. So, and you could be, we all can have our fears and insecurities, but you keep offering truth and love to your own fears and insecurities and taking the lessons that you've learned to keep moving forward. And as you do that, you do complete a cycle to be more independent, because high vibe energy is being more independent. Less things manipulate you than used to manipulate you. You've shed some layers of your more worldly, egoic nature than you had in the past. And you're moving forward, taking what you've learned with you. What's coming up for the high vibe people they might not see coming? The Hangman, the Justice card, the Four of Swords, and the reason is because of the Five of Wands. So the Five of Wands comes after the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands is Aries energy. You're taking inspired action within yourself. And you took that inspired action because you felt stuck. Because you wanted justice. Both the Justice card and the Four of Swords is Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice. You wanted to move things forward in a more just and fair and balanced and healed way. But other people had a problem with that. They're kind of aligned with the competition. They harness this energy in a more shadowy way. Shadowy Hangman could be they operate more from their ego, defensive, to seeing things from any other perspective. They might feel stuck too, but they're not willing to take more inspired action in their life to work through and see the truth of what manipulates them. And that can be shadowy energy. Nope, I have inner conflict about seeing the truth. I don't want to see the truth. I don't want to see what manipulates me. We should just keep moving forward like this. This is just and fair. I was like, I don't think this is just and fair. You could feel like people are competitive, prideful, manipulative, more competitive in the world. That's more the driving factor, the ego, the image. And it's like, if that's what you want to make your life about, go make your life about it. I've looked at life from a different perspective. I've worked through my inner conflict. I've gotten balance within myself. I healed from things that manipulated me. I've changed. I'm not the same person I was before. And I'm ready to go on this new journey. And the other people in your life cannot like it. They didn't want you to look at life differently. They didn't want you to get justice. They didn't want you to heal. They wanted you to keep living your life the way you'd been living it and being in friendship or relationship with them and doing it the way you've always done it. But it's like, I change and heal and grow and mature over time also. But some of those people don't. And if they don't, and they don't want to deal with the truth, and they don't look at life from a higher perspective, and they make their life more about themselves or these things of the world, or what they indulge in, you should too. And it's like, maybe I did, but not anymore. I look at life differently. In high vibe, the Hangman is, I felt stuck. I could have felt manipulated. I could have felt unloved. I could have felt having whatever way I was making my life about kind of felt like it could have been abundant in a lot of these ways of the world. That's the Five of Pentacles from a more worldly view. But I also, to have high vibe Ten of Pentacles, I also need it to be abundant in truth and love and justice and fairness and compassion and creativity and inspiration. And this might have all these things of the world that look like it's wonderful by worldly standards, but I feel like it's lacking maybe in truth and love and being inspired. And the Hangman is Pisces energy, which is emotional water sign energy and about emotional fulfillment. There needs to be a balance, and there's not balance here. And I got out of my ego and I accepted the truth. We look at life differently. What motivates and inspires you and what you think is just and fair is different. And I see the truth of it, and I accept the truth of it. And the other people never wanted you to get out of your competitive nature, your egoic nature, your codependent nature, your lack mentality, didn't want you to love and believe in yourself and stand up for yourself to get the justice you deserve. Because they didn't want to change. They have this way of living life and viewing life that they're okay with. It's like, well, then live your life that way. I'm moving on differently. And yeah, it's just that other people will, it'll cause you inner conflict as you work through it. But as you work through it and really think about kind of what your truth is and what you think is just and fair, and apparently what some other people think is just and fair, who seems to be enlightened to the truth, who seems to be more authentic, loving and encouraging and high vibe Leo, who seems to be more competitive, prideful, don't want you to feel more balanced within yourself, love yourself, believe in yourself. And who does? And it's like, I'm going to focus more of my attention on the people who do seem to be enlightened to the truth, more just and fair, less about themselves or just these things of the world, where there's a more balanced relationship. So for a while, it's kind of hard to close out cycles in your life, and the bigger the cycle, the harder it is. And a lot of people will try to, negative energy will battle with you to try to stop you, just like the devil tries to stop God from encouraging people to love and believe in themselves, and tries to stop those people from loving and believing in themselves, because the devil doesn't want people to align with God and high vibe energy. Well, you are. I'm going to make my life less about these things of the world. I wish you truth and love, but unless you want to work together with me in a more just and fair and authentic and loving way, I'm going to wish you peace, and I'm going to maybe kind of keep my distance. What's coming up for the people who harness a more shadowy Aries energy that they might not see coming? The Knight of Wands, the King of Pentacles, the Lover's card, and the Nine of Wands. And the reason is because of the Page of Pentacles. Well, the shadowy people are more inspired by the world, and they're kind of a bad parent to themselves. They kind of indulge their more immature worldly nature. So in all three of their earth sign energies, that's their truth. That's what they're motivated and inspired by. And they could want to be in relationships or marriages and have jobs, but they're always defensive to the truth, that it should be about love and it should be just and fair. They want to be more immature and want to be more indulged in a relationship. And they're always going to have more high vibrational people in their life who want to be in relationship with them. And they'd like to move things forward, and they've been defensive to moving on from them. And they keep trying to be loving and encouraging to them to get them to move forward with them. The difference between the 1 and the 9 is the 8 of Wands, which is about moving forward. Be more inspired to kind of wrap your brain around this game of life. You know, be willing to be a student of life. Work through your more immature nature, defensive nature, worldly nature, prideful nature, stubborn nature. And can't we go with the flow and, you know, quit repeating old patterns and move forward in life a little differently? And some of the other people, they're like, nope, not going to do that. Nope. Well, and that's when we could kind of realize that some of the people in our life, a page and a knight would be much more immature than a king and the lover's card aligned with truth and love. They've got some lessons to learn in life, and they have some more mature people in their life, whether they're brothers, sisters, mom, dads, friends, coworkers, whatever, no, neighborhood people. They want to keep repeating a pattern. And eventually, some of the other people kind of drop the burden. And it's like, we can't make other people grow up and mature themselves. We can't make people, if they're motivated and inspired, they all got to go learn some lessons the hard way, just like the rest of us. And so eventually, some more of the high vibe people will communicate with them that, I am willing to be a student of life. I am willing to get out of my ego. I accept the truth. This is your truth to do it this way. I want to move forward that way. That's not your truth. I accept it, and I'm going to move on. Out of standing up for loving their own inner child nature, if they're being more loving and encouraging and supportive and just and fair and acting with more character and integrity maybe, and the other people keep being immature, eventually they're going to be like, you go do that. But I will work through this, and I will heal, and I will go find other people in the world who might be more on the same page as me. And while those people do that, shadowy energy can be people who haven't learned to offer truth and love to people, to work with them cooperatively, and instead they repeat some poor patterns like, I have this idea, I'm going to turn my back on those people. I'm maybe going to be hurtful and unkind, and I'm going to focus on these other people, and I bet they'll be sad, and they'll feel left out in the cold, and I bet those people won't love and believe in themselves, and they'll come back and want to have a new beginning with me, and move forward with me, and do it the way I want to do it. But what they don't, people could have done that in the past, but eventually people are done. That's kind of the Knight of Wands. I'm done trying to chase after people to get, if I've offered them truth and love and encouragement, and we get to like the 9, and then they revert back to the 3. There was the possibility to close out a cycle, but they had to be willing to deal with some truth, which could be just that they're in a mental prison about doing love. And so they keep living more from their mind than their heart, taking more immature action to try to manipulate people. And eventually the people have done it enough and they're like, I'm done. And that's kind of like Judgment Day. It's kind of like the sun coming out. People are no longer going to be chasing after people. People are no longer going to be indulging people in poor behavior. And they're not going to indulge poor behavior in themselves anymore. I am moving forward in life differently. And while they do that, the high vibe people in their life, these people could like to do it, but they have this fear, again, of maybe stepping out of their comfort zone, fear of change, fear of looking at life differently, fear of being more just and fair. They'd have to heal from some ways of viewing life and ways of interacting with people, maybe just living more from their mind than their heart. And they don't want to deal with the truth of it. And so they'll go repeat an old pattern. And they'll go repeat that pattern and do the whole thing with someone else. Some of those people already did that, and they're at that stage again with someone else. And other people are like, I'm ready to move forward. I've been loving and encouraging and supportive. I'm not going to keep chasing after you. Is this your truth or is it not? Are you willing to become independent of some of your past pain and heartbreak, your lack mentality, or thinking it should be more about you, or being more about in a relationship for these other reasons of the world? And if those people are like, nope, I'm not doing that, then those people will move on. And they'll go repeat it with someone else. And eventually the shadowy people will be more surrounded by people who are more like them. Other people who are not willing to be a student of life, to get out of their ego or their stubborn nature or their more prideful nature or their more immature nature or more bossy or controlling or self-indulgent nature or egoic nature. Some people like to be in more codependent relationships with the king and the page, and they like people to, and even could look for people. Oh, look, that person's heartbroken and sad. That person might be loving, but they might not have learned to love themselves. I'm going to go get in a relationship with them. And I'm going to present myself as this like just and fair and stable, grounded person that their dreams can come into reality with, male or female. And then people get in a relationship with them, but that the dream that they created, the illusion they were willing to do, isn't going to come into reality, because they're kind of just more about themselves and indulging themselves in relationships as long as it's good for their ego and their image, and they like people to stay more codependent. But even if they get in relationships with people who could be hurt, feel left out in the cold, are more codependent, eventually those people could get inspired within themselves to work through those issues. And then those people are ready to move forward. And they're like, well, shit, when did you do all that work within yourself? Hell no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go find someone else. You know, some people like to seem like they're the more mature, stable, wise person in a relationship, where other people have growing up and maturing to do, not them. But then if those people do grow and heal and mature themselves, they've changed. And then the next thing would be for them to change. And it's like, oh no, not me. I don't have anything to change. Well, if you're going to be in a relationship with people and bring a dream into reality, everybody has to be willing to compromise. And some people don't ever want to deal with their own issues. They could be like loving and encouraging people in other people's lives, and those people could heal or grow or mature in a relationship with them. But when it gets to be where they have to temper their ego and maybe work through some of their issues and see what should kind of manipulates them so the relationship can keep moving forward, then they're not willing to do it. No, I don't have to change. So that could be people who are a little full of themselves. And some people just like that kind of relationship dynamic. They just need to find someone else who likes that relationship dynamic. And some of the people in their life didn't like that relationship dynamic anymore. And partly it could be because they're not the same person they were when they got in it. These people could have healed and grown and matured some also. But when they got down to this core foundational truth of what is more your long-term viewpoint in life, theirs is more about being inspired by the world or themselves, and the other people are more inspired more by truth and love. And again, if it's going to be just and fair and truth and love, it should be because you're inspired by love, not just to indulge yourself in a relationship. It's to come out from behind your ego nature and be willing to be a student of life. Work together with people. Be authentic. Heal. Be just. Be fair. And some people aren't willing to do that. So there you go, Aries. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.